What's up, you guys? Welcome to another video with Campbell Cyber Dynamics. Today we're going to talk about 10 questions about implementing ERP systems. So here we go. Question number one, obvious. What is an ERP system? An ERP system stands for Enterprise Resource Planning System. And what it basically does is it helps manage all of your accounting, all of your manufacturing, and all of your sales processes in one database. It's basically the backbone of a company's internal infrastructure. And that way it makes it so that when a customer puts in an order, all of the appropriate databases get populated so that that order will go through manufacturing, all of the correct things will go into accounting, all the inventory will be managed, and then it'll come out on the other end being the end product. So that's what an ERP system is. And they can be really big and complicated depending on the business that's using it, or it can be really small and simple, almost as simple as just a small accounting software. So they come in all shapes and sizes, and it depends on the size of company you are. Question number two, the best way to manage ERP project expectations. So there's three main levers to keep in mind whenever you're managing a big giant project. Lever number one is the amount of time it takes to complete a project. Number two is the quality of the end result. And number three is going to be your cost of the project, right? And one of kind of the sayings in project management is you get two of those. You can't have all three. So if you want a project to get put together really quickly and be good quality, it's going to cost a lot. You're not going to be able to save a whole lot on that project. If you want a project done cheaply and really fast, it's probably going to be pretty poor quality, right? So it's a trade-off between those three things. And so when you're looking at a big project like this, you prioritize which one of those you're willing to give up, and then you map your project according to that. So that's a really good way to set expectations for projects. Question number three, this one's a big one. How to migrate data from one system to another. So this is a massive undertaking if you're transitioning things like an ERP system. But the one thing that has proven really helpful is to keep your data pools really simple at first. So if you're transitioning like a big product database, just take like the names of the products and maybe the serial numbers, right? You want to keep it as simple as possible, because what's going to happen is you as an IT guy are going to pull the data, and that's going to get populated into the system. And the end users are going to be looking at that system and looking at the data, and they're going to realize, oh, I actually want these different fields in this place. If you pull all of the data all at once, you're going to have issues because people might want you to redo the data pulls. And so if you keep it simple and just slowly iterate through that process and slowly grow your requirements over time, depending on what the end users are seeing and wanting, then that helps a lot with the process of data migration. But it's a huge process, one that you should definitely take the time to plan out, figure out what your best strategy is, and go from there. Another thing with data migration is if you can automate any part of that, it really helps with the speed of implementation. So if you can just make a little change to a field here and then press a button that populates all the fields in the new system, that tends to work really good, because then you can do lots and lots of iterations. Question number four, how to pick the right ERP consultants. So this is a really big question, because there's a lot of ERP consulting companies that are really good at selling everything under the sun. They will promise you a smooth implementation. They'll tell you all the great things that they're able to do for you. But at the end of the day, one of the biggest contributors to ERP implementations failing is actually your choice of implementer to help you. And so one of the ways that you can choose the right consultant is, well, there's actually three ways. So number one is to look at their experience, and look at their experience with regards to the technology. Do they have good experience with working with the technology? Do they have years under their belt, or are they new hires coming out of college? Are they experienced working in your industry, right? Because industries are so different depending on what you're manufacturing. So those are the three. So look at your consultant experience, look at their experience in your industry, and then the last one is to meet real references and people that they've worked with in the past. A lot of times consultants are more than happy to give you a reference call to somebody that they've done business with. make sure you use that call as well as you can by asking really good pointed questions to see how your go live went, what the process is like, some of their big frustrations, just things to be aware of as you work with these consultants. All right, question number 5. How do you pick the right people from your company to implement your ERP system? This one's a really important one because you can have the best technology, you can have the best consultant and implementer help you implement the technology, but if your own internal ERP team isn't put together very well, the whole project's going to fail. So the two things that I look for, or that I would look for in people to put on the ERP team, are people that know your business processes fairly well and are experienced in doing the business processes and are familiar with all the requirements, all the legal requirements, all the manufacturer requirements of the products. But then the other one that's really critical and a really critical attribute is that they're forward thinking, because a lot of times ERP projects will get stuck in these ruts where people are trying to rebuild the already existing system or trying to use old processes, and it really just doesn't work if you're trying to implement something new. So try to pick people that are familiar with their processes, but also really forward thinking. Those are the two things to look for. Next question is how to pick the right ERP system. So there's a ton of ERP systems out there. Like I said, there's really simple ones that do just basic functionality, and there's really, really complex ones that you can customize to your heart's content. Again, it's going to depend on the business that you are. If you're a really complex manufacturer, then you're going to want to pick a ERP system that caters to that maybe has more plugins, more customizability. But one thing that tends to help with this process is to try to find third-party ERP consultants that will help you figure out what software it is. So usually there's like a couple of contenders that you can find online. Microsoft D365 is one of them. Another one is like Oracle NetSuite. Another one is Infor, SAP. There's kind of like all of these different product lines out there. If you can find a third-party consultant to help you identify your business requirements and kind of act as a third party to those vendors to help you select it, that tends to be a good way to decide. So that's what I would do with regards to picking the right ERP system. One thing I would advise to watch out for is to pick an ERP system that is too complicated for your business. If you pick one that's too complicated, it's really cumbersome to learn. There's a tendency to want to customize a lot of stuff. You want to stay away from customization because it just makes it a nightmare as far as data management goes. And then when you want to try to migrate your data to a new system later, it just makes it really hard. So try to keep it as simple as possible. Next question, why do so many ERP implementations fail? There's a lot of reasons. They're really, really big projects, but I'll list 3 reasons here. So reason number 1 is usually a lack of executive support. Usually what happens with ERP implementations is they become an IT project. And because an ERP system touches so many areas of the company, like manufacturing, accounting, sales, customer service, if it doesn't have that executive support, nobody's going to really be truly behind changing ERP systems, and that morale is really important in changing something so fundamental to the company. And so having executive support the team, support the investment is really critical for projects like this. The second reason why ERP implementations fail is because the team that's implementing them is inadvertently trying to force their current system onto this new ERP system. So I've seen this a lot before where you'll have certain processes or certain procedures you'll do in manufacturing that the old system was built for, but the new system might not handle the same way. And if you try to force that onto the new system, it's going to end up more complicated, it's going to cost you a lot more, and nobody's really going to be happy because it's not what the new system's built for. So that's the second reason. The third reason is just poor adoption, right? If you're replacing an ERP system, it's really the foundation of what most of the people at your company are going to use, right? All of your salespeople, accounting people, IT people, they use this ERP system every single day. And so if you don't have a good adoption strategy with end user training and just adopting it into the company, People are going to want to bypass the ERP system. They're going to want to manage it in their own different softwares and stuff like that. And that can really cause disaster when it comes to going live with your implementation. So those are the 3 reasons. Number 8, how can AI be used with ERP? There's a lot of applications for artificial intelligence with ERP software. So I'll give just 3 examples, but the list could probably go on forever depending on the industry you're in. One of the main ones is product order estimations. And so think about like your sales cycles. You can use AI to estimate how many orders you're going to get given the time of year. If you're a really seasonal company, AI can help you estimate when to buy certain levels of inventory based on past lead times and based on projected estimates for the future. So that's a cool way AI can be used. Another one is like when you're shipping things for products that are really custom or systems that are really custom. A lot of times it's hard to estimate what the shipping cost is going to be because things are so different. But AI can analyze all of your past product data and what the shipping box sizes were and what the weights were and help you estimate your shipping costs. And then another application for AI is just quality control, right? When you're trying to take quality samples, if you're like an electronics manufacturer and you're trying to visually make sure that circuit boards or everything's lined up correctly, AI can be used to analyze those circuit boards and just do quality checks really quickly and find anomalies or things that might not be quite right with your design or quite right with your quality. So those are a few ways AI can be implemented. And again, there's a lot of cool applications for it, but those are just a few. Next question, should I use cloud-based or on-premise ERP? So the difference between cloud-based and on-premise really quick. So if you go with an ERP system, you have 2 options. You can either use it in the cloud, which it's stored in Microsoft servers, it's stored in NetSuite servers, whatever ERP application you use, or you can do on-premise where you install their software and you host all of the data yourself. And there's pros and cons to each approach. So the pros to having it cloud hosted is that company that's hosting it manages everything like your backups, your instances, it handles all of the environment setup. It's really convenient from just a management standpoint. Where it gets tricky is when you're trying to get data from the ERP system and look at just the raw data. That can be kind of a headache because you're dealing with a separate server. The other thing is that cloud-based ERP systems over the long term tend to be more expensive. Short term, they're a little bit cheaper, but if you're using it for a long period of time, they are a little bit more expensive. So just something to keep in mind. If you use on-premise ERP system, it's basically going to be reversed. So you're going to have a big investment up front in getting all the servers and all of the databases ready for hosting your ERP system, but that cost is going to be minimized the longer you have it, right? The other thing too, though, is that you have to now worry about making backups of all of the data. You have to worry about managing all of your servers, making sure you have good redundancy. But then there's the other pro of because it's on your servers, you have direct access to the data and it makes reporting and having access to that data just way easier. So it's really a preference and it's kind of depends on the design of your company. But both are really good options, and cloud-based is becoming pretty popular just because of the ease of use. Okay, number 10, things to watch out for when signing on an ERP implementer. So I'll give just this piece of advice. So ERP implementers and consultants, they are always going to try to sell you, right? Every single implementer you talk to is going to be, they're going to sound amazing. They're going to sound like they can do everything, that it'll be a good implementation. And almost every single time, it is not that experience. All the ERP implementers I've worked with, they're really big and really tough projects. The one thing that I would make sure you do is you look at the statement of work that you're signing and really go through line by line and analyze it. And not just you. If you're a project manager or an executive, I would have your whole team from all your different areas go through that statement of work line by line and analyze and make sure that you're getting exactly what you need from that statement of work. Because there have been many times where I've been in an ERP project meeting and something's come up where we need a certain requirement, and it will always go back to that statement of work. And if you've done your homework and you made sure everything was included in it, it just resolves a lot of conflict. So that's what I would recommend, is really go through that statement of work, meet with your implementer and ask questions for clarity. And if you've done your homework and you made sure everything was included in it, it just resolves a lot of conflict. So that's what I would recommend, is really go through that statement of work, meet with your implementer and ask questions for clarity. And if you've done your homework and you made sure everything was included in it, it just resolves a lot of conflict. So that's what I would recommend, is really go through that statement of work, meet with your implementer and ask questions for clarity. make sure that everybody understands what's on there, and then if you do that, it should be able to resolve disputes fairly easily should they come up. So that's my piece of advice for that. Thank you guys so much for watching another episode of 10 Questions. Thank you for watching, and we will see you later.